So I am so excited to have you here today, Stephanie, because I wanted to one highlight you and two the journey that you have gone on with me over the last couple of months has been incredible and beautiful to witness as your coach. And I just thought it would be super helpful to take people a little bit behind the scenes of your business and your brain to see what things were like for you before and what things are like now, and all of the things, because some really deep stuff happened during our coaching work together. And I think so many people think that it's all about business, that it's all about the niche and the offer and all of that, but and it's also so much more. So before we dive into all of that, will you please tell people a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, all the good things?
Yes, and thank you for doing this today. I'm so excited. So I'm Stephanie Byerly, and I am an anesthesiologist and a life coach. And I coach women physicians, basically who are just sort of struggling in all different ways in their personal and professional life. And I help them get joy back in their personal and professional life so they don't have to leave medicine unless they choose to leave medicine on their own terms. And I became a life coach for a lot of reasons. One of the main ones is that I had had a lot of struggles in my life and suffered a lot of trauma, and had someone close to me that had an addiction, and came out on the other side of that. Had suffered burnout as a physician a couple of times and made it through that, and actually learned to thrive and not just survive every day, which I lived most of my life for a long time. And I knew that I wanted to help women in a different way. So as an anesthesiologist, I see people once. When I take care of them, I never see them again. And I wanted some kind of longer term relationship and where I could help women in a different way. And a good friend of mine said, "Why don't you become a life coach?" And I was like, "What is a life coach?" And so she said, "Watch, Brooke Castillo." And of course I watched that and I was like, "This is it." I knew it. Like, it clicked immediately. And so the thing was, is I was becoming a life coach to help other women, but I had no idea how it was going to transform my life. Like, somehow I figured out how to like fake it till you make it. Like, I had gotten there, I'm successful. You know, my life was really going great. But when I learned about life coaching and the thought model and how now I could actually think my way through to make it instead of just somehow figuring it out, it transformed my life. And literally every conversation in my life has been transformed because of it. And then I started my own business. And so I still work full time as a physician for now. And I'm doing my life coaching business, which I love very much. But I, going through life coach school, heard you on a teaching session. And I was like, I know this woman is going to be in my life at some point. Like, she's part of my journey. And then one day on Facebook, it was like an invitation to join the launch lounges, your site. And I was like, okay, this is a sign. And so ended up doing that sort of challenge with you where you were
Like when
on.
you call signs and you said, yeah. So by that point, you had already been certified, right?
Been
And
certified. Yep.
yeah, and you had been coaching people through
Mhm.
another coach's program. So you had experience coaching, but what was happening in your business? Like, where were you in your business when you reached out? And really, like, why did you decide to reach out at that point?
Well, I was in that place where I think I was trying to figure out, like, how am I going to get clients? And I had like, actually maybe had like one or two, maybe even just one when we started. And I just felt like, how am I going to do this? I felt like nothing that I was doing was really working. I knew that it was going to take time, but I really wanted to get some more like I knew the steps, but I needed someone to help me put it all sort of together into a plan. Like, I definitely was that you're supposed to do a webinar, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, social media, email list, but I just didn't feel like I could put it together into like a solid plan about and in a stepwise progression. And
Mhm.
so um, when we talked and did that, our session after, being in your group with all the lives that you did, I just knew like this is what I needed to do and this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and I'm a very like strategic, logistical kind of person. So one of the first things that you and I did together was work on your simple business plan. So what was that experience like for you? Because I know what it was like for me. So tell me what that was like for you, and what did anything in particular surprise you?
Well, when we did that intensive. Okay. So when we did that 3-hour intensive session, that like just like solidified so many things for me because we went over like my lead magnet and what was important in that, and really helped me get that solidified as what the message I needed to get across and what was really missing in that to really make it a better, better thing for my clients. You helped me with my business cards, and I was getting ready to go to a big conference where I had 16 coaching sessions set up, and really helped me solidify like how am I going to get my message across in 20 minutes, and am I going to make an offer at the end, and all of this, because that was all just sort of spinning in my head like questions like I need to get this answered. So we did all of that, and it really, when I went to the conference, which was like 3 days later, I showed up in a completely different way than I would have if we would not really have sat down and talked through everything. And then one of the biggest things that came out of the session was really what was holding me back, I think, with my clients. And it was this, when we figured it out, it really had to do a lot with how I grew up with my mom and this fierce sense of independence. And that I was maybe not going to be able to sustain that sense of independence, and meaning that I wasn't going to be a successful life coach because, if I couldn't have enough clients, I wouldn't be able to make my salary and I wouldn't be able to take care of myself. And it all stemmed back to, really like what had happened in, my childhood and how things were with my mother, and pretty much the way I had been living my life my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought that moment during that session was so profound for me to witness as a coach and guide you through, because it was so fascinating. As we walked through the business plan, it was like, yeah, it's all about feminist and helping the women. And then it was like, but wait, what about the men? And but wait, what about these people? And I was like, wait, what is happening right now? It's like, okay, time to put the strategy part to the side for a minute and go down the rabbit hole and see what
Yeah.
is happening inside Stephanie's brain, because
Yeah.
I just find so often that we think that is the niche, but it's so much more than that.
So much more. Yes. And really, being a physician, and not like shedding my identity as a physician, but realizing that I'm also a life coach, and that is a huge part of my life and the passion that I have. It's a little difficult. It was, I've struggled with it along the way. I had to do a lot of coaching on that, like almost like being a trader, thinking that at some point I'm going to start working my way out of clinical medicine, but really to really solidify like why I'm doing this, what my why is, who are the people that I want to help, and that just really, all the sessions have just been so helpful about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, about the identity that we have in the
Mhm.
professional world before getting into coaching, because I know it's so interesting how it shows up for so many people, because I work with a lot of people in healthcare as well. And now being probably 2 years out of almost 2 years out of putting hands on a patient, it's like I'm in like heaven in terms of how I get to live and move and do things in the world. But when it came time to actually do it, oh my gosh, so much fear. So, how are you working through the changing or shifting or adding to your identity as a physician and adding in the life coach piece?
Well, I'll tell you, it was interesting. I was with a group of residents yesterday doing some simulation, and I taught them the model really quickly, and we talked about wellness. And they were just like, wow, thank you for doing this. And so it really made a difference. So I see how much the life coaching makes a difference for people in healthcare, and just to be able to help people in a different way that's going to affect every conversation maybe that they have, it will change everything in their lives. And so to realize that I'm still helping people, I'm still going to be working with physicians or other people in healthcare as, going along this journey and as I transition to less and less clinical time. So I feel like I'm still having my, a hand in all of that, and I always probably will. But that it's time for me to really do what I'm passionate about for me and to live my life, because for so long I've been taking care of my daughters as a single parent, and as a child, like taking care of my mother. So I've always been taking care of other people, always, which I think is a big reason I went into medicine. But now I want to have a life for me. Like, I'm in the second half of my life. It's time for me. It's my time. Like, that's what I tell them. It's my time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's see. Did we forget anything? Anything? What would you say has been a surprise or a favorite part of how we work together?
What I love, there's several things, but I think we have a pretty sort of, it's hilarious. I don't know what I want to say. Like the way that we can sort of talk to each other. A couple times you were like, Stephanie, which I love, because it's just sort of like, not, you're my coach, but we're also like a friendship almost, as far as like, come on now, let's be real, but just sort of be able to um have a really honest relationship, and you being in healthcare and understanding sort of the way that we think, and sort of not always believing everything that I say, and just, pulling me back, like what a coach is supposed to do, but sort of like, come on, let's figure this out, and why are you doing all this drama over here, and this, let's just get this figured out, and be done. But also just to look at like higher level, like business stuff that's really been helpful for someone that I can trust, to just like give me advice, instead of people like saying, oh well, you can figure it out, just think about this thing, but to like actually make a plan that I can put in place. I don't know if that makes sense.
100%. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's the consultant hat that I wear, and there's the coach hat. And then
Yeah.
we do the strategy, and then people freak out and wig out about it. And then I put the coach hat on
Right.
and coach
Right.
through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, I know when I plan to do a webinar and I need to really get that planned out, you can help me with that plan. And, right now we talked about, coaching one-on-one and then going to group. And so I sort of have a strategic plan going forward about how to do this. And when then stuff comes up, to be able to talk about it and plan it out, is awesome. And I have a friend who just finished life coach school, and she's doing all this like spinning and all. I'm like, let's just talk. And we talk once a week. And I feel like I can really help her do things strategically the way that, you have helped me. And, she really appreciates that, because she's in that part of like, oh my God, just starting an LLC. And how do I do this? How do I do this? And it's like, let me just help you do this. You don't need to go through all the drama. Let's just
Yeah.
get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So like in the process, I think you said you had maybe one or two clients before we started working together. Like, where are you at now with your clients, or any other results that you'd like to share?
So I have 7 clients now. And one of the biggest things, I don't know if you remember, was my drama about making the offer. You said to
Mhm.
me, do you put in epidurals? And I'm like, yes, I do every day. And you said, tell me what you would say to a patient, um, and how you would explain the epidural. And that was the biggest thing that changed everything. And so when I went into that conference where I had all these coaching sessions, that's what I was like. I'm like, I'm just going to explain everything, explain my offer like I'm telling someone how I'm going to put their epidural in. And that shifted everything. And so now, even when I'm on consult calls, I'm coming from a very different place. Very, this is it. This is my
Oh,
offer. And I actually was at away this weekend and met someone who I knew, that when she and I have just got a lot closer this weekend. And we talked, and she was like, tell me about this life coaching. And I told her everything, and I'm going to a new price point in January. And she's like, well, how much does it cost? And I told her the new amount. And it just came out of my mouth and I felt totally comfortable with it. And she was like, well, let me think about that. How much is that per session? And she's like, oh, well, I spend more than that sometimes just going out to dinner. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like,
Wow.
it is an investment in yourself. And so that was huge, and it felt great to do it.
And I think that's the biggest part is the feeling great, right? Because I mean, yeah, you can throw out a number, and if you feel like crap doing it, how many times are you going to want to do it or have to overcome resistance to do it? So I just love that you added that part in there. And so since we're talking about your prices are increasing, tell everybody how they can connect with you on the webs if
On
they
the
want to
web.
work with you potentially.
So physicianhealer.com is my website, and there is an opt-in if you want to look at my 5-day journal, which is my lead magnet. If you put your email address in, a video of me pops up explaining it, which you helped me make sure everything was in the video. And then there's also a button for a clarity call where you can set up just a complimentary 45-minute call to talk about everything going on and see if it's a great fit to work together. And I'd love to meet some more clients, and I just love life coaching. It's amazing. It's changed my life in every conversation, like I said. And I feel like the ripple effect when I talk to people, it's it's truly amazing. And I wish that everybody could have access to a coach and knowing that it is so transformational for your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when it comes to doing the kind of work that you and I have been doing together, like who would you recommend it to and why? Or what would you say to someone on the fence?
I would say to anybody who's looking to start their own business, and this is a totally new thing to them, and they're really just very in that confusion mode and fear and all the things that come up that keep us from moving forward, would be to contact you and get on a call and just see if you could work together just to start helping people get some clarity. And because once that, when you get rid of some of the fear and all the things that are going to come up and you can set a plan, it makes just the most amount of difference. And you're just so amazing to work with and so personable and so real. And it's just it's just the collaborative relationship where it's non-judgmental, and it's just like, I don't know, it's coaching, but it's, as a consultant, as a friend, all of the above. And I love being in your Facebook group, and I love meeting all of the people in your group, excuse me, when you had that cocktail hour and such amazing people. And yeah, so everything, all the things. So please call
Oh,
you.
yay,
Yes.
awesome. And so if you want to experience the power of a coaching conversation, you are looking for some clarity in your business, feel free to reach out to me. Just go to tavanadenise.com/momentum.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Hey, you too.
Okay.